Hey friend, it's me Vasco with a quick announcement. We at the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast are organizing this year's Scrum Master Summit. For tickets and details on the summit, check out the URL bit.ly/SM Summit 22. All one word, SMSUMMIT 22. And now, on to the show. Hello everybody, welcome to our Friday Product Owner episode this week with Jeroen de Jong. Hi Jeroen, welcome back.
Hi Vasco, glad to be back again.
And it's a pleasure to have you, of course, unfortunately for the last episode of the week, but hey, all good things come to an end, as it usually goes. And we're going to talk about Product Owner, which is kind of the Batman to our Robin, as I like to say, right? It's a critical role in the whole concept of Scrum that we need to first help, obviously, but also create a great relationship with. And for that, we need to learn what works and what doesn't work in that role, the product owner role. So we'll start with a bad example. We'll talk about a great example later on so that we end up the Friday on a high. But let's start with a bad example first. So share with us, Jeroen, what might have been the worst product owner anti-pattern you've witnessed in your career?
I'm not sure if it's the worst, but at least is one that I myself also made guilty of. The product owner that thinks he knows everything. And for myself, it was also the case. I used to be a developer, so at some point I picked up that product owner hat. And yeah, whenever the team came with an estimate, well, this takes approximately this long to implement. I was, that cannot be true because I know this, and this is the case, and I know this should be possible in a shorter time. And basically, what I did back then, one of the mistakes I made, if you can't do it within that time, I'm going to do it myself. Well, the response from the team was, well, go do it. And then, of course, I did it because I'm still that multitasker, jack of all trades. But then, the team didn't learn. And actually, I could do it in that time, but the team couldn't do it in the time. And also, whenever I was asking for something similar in the future again, we were getting in that same situation again.
Yeah, so it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in the end, right? Like, you can't do it in the time I want you, and then you don't let them try. So, of course, it's not going to work.
And there, if a product owner knows a lot of things, knows a lot of details about the project, or even about the operations needed to get that project to work, it's very hard to actually give the team the accountability, or at least trust the team that the team actually can do it and that they can learn and that they can take over.
And it's not just the trust. So the trust is one thing. We're not giving trust to the team. Therefore, they don't have the trust themselves. Like, they don't trust themselves either if you don't trust them. But then the other thing is that, like, the product owner, and I'm sure you felt that at that time, becomes completely overwhelmed and doesn't have time to do the most important parts of the product owner role, right?
Yeah, because then, the product owner wanted to do everything themselves, or at least even if I would let the team do it, I still was feeling, I need to check if everything was done correctly, if it was confirming what I had in my mind. Yeah, and that really didn't work out.
One of the things, or the dynamics that I see in that environment, is that it slowly starts spiraling out of control. I remember working with a product owner that started to kind of challenge and maybe, slightly take a little bit more of the team space. And at some point, the product owner was writing specifications with very, very fine details, to the point of telling the team what data structures to use, what algorithm to use, how to design their code. And eventually, I think the product owner probably thought that the team could become his hands while he was the brain. But the problem, of course, is that when you take the brain out of the team, then the team doesn't know what to do, because they basically start begging for every detail. And that not only detracts from the work of the product owner, but it also detracts from the agility, the adaptability of the team, who's now not even sure of what to do. And they didn't think through the solution, so they don't even know what the solution is trying to do. They can only type.
Yeah, and you tie back into what we discussed last Tuesday about everybody's going to work individually and do their tasks instead of actually work together and be creative and think of what to do.
Absolutely. And that's definitely an awful anti-pattern that we must try to help product owners to step away from. And of course, because Friday is also about sharing great examples, we do want to hear about potentially what was the best product owner you've ever worked with. Describe them for us.
Yeah, for me, that was a product owner, or at least back then, we actually weren't doing any Scrum, or at least I didn't even know the role product owner yet. But he was the project manager or whatever. We didn't have any role titles. And I was always amazed how he was able to actually get things done and to make things transparent, to actually keep everybody in the loop, so keep the team happy, tell the team why they were supposed to do something, what actually the value behind it was, but also the stakeholders to say no where he could, or and keep them in the loop what was happening and when they were going to deliver things. And that was also the same person that initially told me about getting things done. So that's where also his inspiration came from. Yeah, he was just when I was looking at it at a distance, for me, it was overwhelming. He was always busy in meetings, but whenever the team needed time from him, he was there. He was within an hour or even directly, he was able to talk to the team, to discuss what was needed. And the same thing goes for the stakeholders and for everybody he was involved in. So for some reason, he just was there for everybody. And I just couldn't imagine how he was able to handle that. And one of his strengths was getting things done. And I think also just have that ability to actually say no. So actually prioritize, see the value in it, and actually, is it the right thing to do, or is it should we do it, or is it actually the right thing to do, and make the decision in there.
And making decisions quickly is one of the most important skills that product owners have. Now, this may mean that they have to be in a lot of meetings to create the relationships that they need in order to have the power and the trust to make those decisions. So we do need to support them with that, but that's a very important skill to have. And one of the things that you mentioned, and I think we should mention it specifically here, is that having a process to manage your own work, like getting things done or GTD, is an incredibly empowering tool to have as a person that is busy doing many things, right? Because one of the key ideas with GTD is, as you said, offload what's in your mind into the written format, whether it's a paper or an application or whatever. There's plenty of desktop or laptop or even mobile phone applications that help you do that, right? But having that discipline of managing the work allows you to jump from one meeting to the other, and boom, you have the context, you bring it up, and you start talking about the most important things right away. And also with the team, if you get interrupted by the team because they need a question answered, you don't lose track, because you have that system, that, getting things done system as an example, that helps you get back to the thing you were doing and really be productive. So perhaps that's one of the things. I haven't talked much about that in the Coach Your Product Owner course that I created, but maybe I should create a bonus module just about getting things done, because one of the things we can really help product owners with is manage the many inputs or inboxes, as David Arnold calls it, that they have, because it can be really, really overwhelming, right? So where would you advise, besides reading the book, what would be maybe 1, 2, or 3 tips you could give product owners that are feeling overwhelmed?
At least make it visible for yourself. So instead of actually doing it by the book, just make a list for yourself. Where's all the information coming from right now? How is that flowing? Also a stakeholder map or deliberating structure, social network webbing. What is happening there? And try to make it visible. Try to map it in Mural or Miro or another tool or a mind map or just a list. Actually write it down, make it visible, and from that you can iterate on that. So maybe you're surprised, or maybe you see things, well, I'm getting from this and this and this and this source, but maybe some of these sources we can cut off, or maybe some of these sources can be combined, or some of these sources shouldn't even be directly to me, because there's a hierarchy also in our management system. Maybe these questions should be directly to my boss, or to maybe even directly to the team instead of to me myself. And make things visible and work from there, start from there.
Yeah, absolutely. This mapping the information network in the organization is extremely important. And very often we need to do that also for the teams, because it's not very rare that the teams are getting input from other than the product owner, right? Which is an anti-pattern in the concept or in the framework of Scrum. The work to the team should always come through the product owner, but in some organizations that's not the case. And just being able to map that and go through that deliberately together with the product owner, say, hey, the team is getting interruption from these people, right? Like, are you aware of it? How can we manage it? How can we help these people get heard, but not necessarily interrupt the team? with their requests. That's a very important aspect. Visualizing those information flows, those networks within the organization becomes a very important tool for managing the work that comes to the team.
And to yourself.
And of course, to ourselves as Scrum Masters, obviously. Jeroen, it's been a pleasure. Unfortunately, we're getting close to the end. But before we go, where can we find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
I think the best way to reach me and to find more about me is just via LinkedIn. So if you search for my name, or I think you will probably put a link to my LinkedIn page on the show notes, then everybody should be able to find me.
Absolutely. And do reach out, and why not ask Jeroen about his tips about getting things done? I'm sure he has many. Maybe they are useful to you too. So, Jeroen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your generosity with your time and your knowledge.
Thanks for the invite. I still feel honored. So thanks again. See you next time.
Hey friends, it's Vasco again, now with a bit longer announcement. I'm part of the team that is behind the Global Scrum Master Summit, the conference dedicated to the Scrum Master role. If you're a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master Summit is the place to learn, to share, and of course to meet new friends. We will have lots of live sessions where you can meet and network with other Scrum Masters from the whole globe. So make sure you check it at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. We have several amazing keynotes and 7 tracks that feature people like you and, of course, thought leaders sharing their insights, their knowledge, and helping you become an awesome Scrum Master. You can check out all of the details of the summit, including the keynotes announced, the track chairs, and much more at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. That's all one word. That's bit.ly/SM SUMMIT and the numeral 22. I'll see you on the conference floor.